How did you do? Huh? Okay, why? Okay, let's see. So you don't have the answers? Okay, so I'll be only telling you. Okay, please keep a count, whatever. Now, questions I saw yesterday, they are like, they're fine. Moderate level, decent. Okay, now, consider the following statements regarding the states of matter. Evaporation, surface phenomena, boiling, bulk phenomena. The rate of evaporation decreases with increase in wind speed. What do you think? This is wrong. Correct. If it is a windy day, you are able to dry your clothes faster. Correct. Answer becomes 1 and 2. Then ऐसा तो बहुत हो जाएगा. No. Wind speed more does not mean environment is slowed. Fine. Then how to press this? It's removed. Okay, let it be. Then yeah, so let's not use pen much. Okay, consider the following statements regarding subatomic particles and atoms. Protons, positively charged particle located in, correct. Isotopes of an element, same atomic number, same different atomic mass. Electrons have a mass approximately equal to that of protons. Wrong. This is 1840 times less. Answer becomes 1 and 2. That is only 2. B is the answer. Then next, which of the following process used to separate mixture of two miscible liquids? Correct. Distillation, fractional distillation, whatever. Then white silver chloride turns gray when placed in sunlight. This color change occurs due to oxidation of silver chloride in the process of light. What do you think? Huh? No. This is incorrect. So basically what happens? The reaction is even more simpler than what you are thinking. What is silver chloride? AgCl. When sunlight falls on it, it just simply breaks into, let's make it 2 AgCl. So this breaks into 2 Ag plus Cl2 gas. So chlorine gas is released and this silver gets separated like this just by photolytic reaction. So basically what is happening? Sunlight is breaking it into two parts like this. Now, what kind of reaction would this be if I were to ask you? So just learn one more term, that this is an endothermic reaction. Why endothermic reaction? Because it is consuming energy for the reaction to take forward. Now, so this color change occurs due to oxide? No, nothing like this. This is correct. Answer becomes what? 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect. Then next, consider the following. All metals exist as solid at room temperature. Which does not? Yeah, mercury does not. Then graphite is a non-metal but good conductor of electricity. Yes. Why? Delocalized electrons. Both of them are correct. Answer is C. Both 1 and 2. Then sorry. Solid. Yeah. First one is wrong. Second one is correct. Answer is B only. B. Okay. Then carbon is capable of forming millions of different chemical compounds. Okay. Carbon exhibits the property of catenation to form. What is catenation? Chain with itself. Correct. And the other thing is carbon has a valency of 4, so it can form 4 bonds. These two are the reason why it will form millions of chemical compounds. So answer becomes A. That is, both of them are correct explanation as well. Then next is plasma Bose-Einstein condensate. Plasma is super energetic, super excited ionized particles. Yes, ionized gases. Then fluorescent tubes and neon sign bulb glows due to presence of Bose-Einstein condensate. Wrong. This is due to Plasma. Correct. This is due to plasma. Then Bose-Einstein condensate is formed by cooling a gas of extremely low density to super low temperature. Correct. Super cooled gases. Yes. So first and third are correct. That means answer is B. Only 2. Then next is, yeah, this is regarding acid and bases. Phenolphthalein indicator turns pink in basic solution. Okay. Now, you may or may not know this. Okay. Then, aqueous solution of all salts are completely neutral in nature. What do you think? This is incorrect. Why? Because if there is a strong acid and weak base, it will be slightly acidic. Then, tooth decay starts with pH of the mouth is lower than 5.5. What do you think? Yes. Okay, this has been asked in a different way. Ultimately, you know that because of the bacteria, there is acids being released, so it will turn slightly acidic. Then, now, so second is wrong. With this only you can get to the answer, that is 1 and 3. Now, understand this also. So, phenolphthalein and indicator turns. So, phenolphthalein, this in basic solution, it will turn pink, and in acidic, it is colorless. Okay, pink and colorless. Then next, consider the following polymers and respective categories. PVC is thermoplastic, correct? Then bakelite is thermosetting. Yes, bakelite, melamine are thermosetting. I told you to remember 2, 3, the main ones for thermosetting, others everything is thermoplastic. Then natural rubber is an elastomer. What do you think? Yes, okay. So all 3 pairs are correct. Answer becomes C. Then non-metals generally either solid or gaseous at room temperature. Which of the following non-metal is an exception and exists as a liquid at room temperature? Bromine. Correct. Then when an iron nail is dipped in a copper sulfate solution, the blue color of the solution gradually fades. Okay. Then what do you think? This statement is correct or not? It is correct. Then iron is more reactive than copper and chemically displaces copper from the copper sulfate solution. Yes. Actually, the reaction would be like, this is copper sulfate. So CuSO4 plus. Now you're putting iron nails. So that is iron. Now iron is more reactive than copper. So what happens? There is a reaction. I think I have briefly talked about this, called displacement reaction. So in displacement reaction, what happens? The more reactive one replaces the less reactive one. So basically Fe will replace here. So it will become FeSO4 plus C. So the original color of CuSO4 is actually blue. And that is why when iron nail is dipped, the blue color is lost. So this is also the correct explanation. Answer becomes A. Then consider the following statements regarding water. Hard water easily forms a rich lather when treated with soap. What do you think? No? Yes. This is untrue. Then hard water contains dissolved solids of calcium and magnesium. Is this correct? Huh? Yes. This is correct. So basically hard water is mainly because of calcium and magnesium ions being present. Now the thing is, when you are dealing with hard water, what happens? So in hard water, see, so there is soap. Soap will always have sodium components. Okay, now sodium component, and of course soap usually dissolves in water. Now the problem is, if calcium and magnesium are present with it, it actually replaces this sodium in that entire chain of soap, and that is why instead of becoming that what do you call it, jhag, whatever, yeah, so basically instead of forming that leather or bubbles that you see, what you start seeing is something like a scum. Basically some white paste like thing starts becoming there. So answer is what? 2 only. Then soaps are highly effective in cleaning oily dirt from clothes and water. Correct? Soap molecules form structures called micelles. This is the same thing, same structure. Hydrophilic ends outside, hydrophobic inside. Both statements are explaining this, answer becomes A. That is 2 and 3 are correct and both of them explain it. Then this one. This is baking soda, plaster of Paris and washing soda. Okay. Baking soda, this is sodium hydrogen carbonate, NaHCO3. Okay, please remember them. Okay, because they are asked a lot in class 9, class 10th when you were giving exams. They used to be asked a lot. Now suddenly they may give it. Okay, so then plaster of Paris is CaSO4 dot, see hemihydrate means half H2O. Then sodium carbonate decahydrate. Okay, so NaCO3 dot 10 H2O. This is washing soda. There is one more you want to remember just with this. It is called gypsum. Gypsum is what? Gypsum is CaSO4 dot 2 H2O. Okay, now all three of them are exactly correct. So you just have to remember them as it is. Gypsum is used to treat basic soils. But please remember the reasoning. This is not because it is acidic. Gypsum is used because it can open the pores. Because basic soils are usually sodic soil also, because they have more of this sodium and all these things that are just stopping the percolation of water in the soil. So that is actually treated by gypsum. Okay, then otherwise it is almost neutral, very close to 7 in pH. Then
gypsum creates pores?
no, so pores are covered by sodium and all these. So this gypsum actually clears the pores. Okay, then thermoplastic polymers can be repeatedly softened by heat. Correct? Thermosetting develop strong cross links upon heating, cannot be remolded. Correct? Both of them are correct. Answer is C, both 1 and 2. Then next is this water gas. Water gas CO plus H2 passing steam. Correct? Then producer gas is CO plus N2. Okay, passing air over red hot coke. Correct? Then last coal gas is H2 plus CH4 plus CO. Okay, fractional distillation. क्रूड ऑयल से थोड़ी निकलता है, कोल निकल जाएगा क्रूड ऑयल से, हैं? This is destructive distillation of coal itself. How can you get coal gas out of crude oil? So that part is wrong. This part is okay. This part is correct. Only this is wrong. So that is why this third becomes wrong. How many rows are correct? Only 2 rows. That is B. Then okay, then this is about batteries. A primary cell cannot be recharged or reused because its chemical reactions are not reversible. Okay, what do you think? It is correct. So there are two kinds of cells. One is primary cells, the other is secondary cells. Most of the cells that you read about now, all those hydrogen fuel cell, lithium and this that, they're all secondary. That is, they can be recharged. Now why they can be recharged? Because the reaction that they have can flow in both directions. Lithium can go from here to here and then come back from there to here, and that is why they are reversible in nature. That is why what you can do, instead of the load or bulb whatever you had placed, you place a battery, you can charge it. This is secondary battery. But in primary battery, the battery that this might have, okay, these are not rechargeables. These are primary cells, they have only one way. So they have, let's say, zinc and the covering is something else. So basically zinc and graphite. So zinc will just keep on giving electrons, graphite will take on taking electrons. Eventually it will run out, it will start leaching. You might have seen old cells, then they just die. That is primary cells. So they cannot be recharged. Then in a standard lead storage battery used in vehicles, a 38% of sulfuric acid solution is used as an electrolyte. This is correct. Then fuel cells produce electrical energy continuously as long as the active reactants are supplied from the external source. Yes. Correct. Why fuel cells will work continuously? Because it is a reversible reaction. Ultimately, you just have to have enough supply of it. Example is that hydrogen fuel cell. Correct. So you keep providing H2 and O2 and you were getting energy all the time. So how many of them are correct? All three of them are correct. Then yeah, conventional lithium ion batteries use a highly inflammable liquid electrolyte. What do you think? Highly flammable liquid electrolyte. We have also written about something known as solid state batteries. Why solid state batteries were better? Because they had solid electrolyte. Correct. And why we wanted to change it to solid electrolyte? There were two reasons for it. One was that I told you that this is much more safe, correct? Because there is no chances of fire in this. Why there were chances of fire? Because conventional lithium ion batteries have flammable liquid electrolytes. Then the other thing is that they are more energy dense, correct? That is, in smaller space they can contain more energy. Now, so first becomes correct. Vanadium flow batteries store energy in external liquid tanks. Yes. Then solid state batteries offer a lower energy density than traditional. It provides a higher energy density.
So if it is highly flammable, how can it be safe? Solid states
Conventional lithium ion batteries. I am telling you why we are trying to switch from conventional lithium ion batteries to solid state lithium ion batteries. This we had read down. So we had read them separately. You have to join them. Okay. Then, so how many of them are correct? Two of them are. Then gold nanoparticles drug delivery, carbon nanotubes exceptionally high, titanium oxide widely used in sunscreens. Yes, nanobots are currently used in local hospitals for routine blood cell. इतना कौन सा local hospital? Okay, so only 3 becomes the answer. Then next, graphene is considered a wonder material for next generation electronics. Graphene is two-dimensional material consisting of single layer of carbon atoms. Correct. Then graphene exhibits extremely high electron mobility at room temperature. Correct. Both of these are correct. Answer becomes A. Then in the fundamental context of nanotechnology, 1 nanometer is exactly equal to which of the following? 1 meter is equals to 10 to the power 9 nanometer. लिख दो अगर नहीं दिख रहा तो. What is this? Ones, tens, 100, 1000, million, billion. Okay, so that's why answer is D. Then zero valent iron nanoparticles are successfully used to clean up groundwater contaminated by industrial toxic. Then the extremely high surface area to volume make them more reactive with the pollutants. Correct? Reactivity increases. So both becomes the answer. Then consider the following regarding nanofertilizers. Okay. Nanofertilizers completely eliminate the need for water in agriculture. Water thodi eliminate ho jayega. Then first is wrong. Then they provide a slow and targeted release of essential. Yes. Then they help in reducing the harmful leaching of chemical fertilizer. Yes. Correct. So 2 and 3 are correct. Answer becomes B. 2 and 3. First is wrong. Then Fast breeder reactors use water as a moderator to slow down fast moving neutrons. What do you think?
No moderator.
Fast reactors do not have any moderator. What they have? They only have coolant, and that also we try to use liquid sodium because that is not a moderator. Table banana. Okay. Then pressurized heavy water reactors require highly enriched uranium as their primary nuclear fuel. What do you think? Natural uranium. We have also written this. When we were doing pressurized heavy water reactor, we have written the fuel that is used. Okay, we have written fuel, moderator, coolant. Okay, then nuclear fusion produces massive energy by splitting a heavy atom into two. This is fission. Classic trap, just changing it. So answer becomes what? Fast breeder reactors. This is also wrong. Okay, so answer is D, that is none. Then India formulated a unique three-stage nuclear power program to heavily utilize its domestic thorium reserves. Okay, thorium 232 is a fertile radioactive material but is not naturally fissile. Yes, thorium 232 must be converted into fissile uranium 233 inside a nuclear. Yeah, correct. And they are explaining it also because it tells about domestic thorium reserves. That's why India want to use something like this. Answer becomes A. Then core components of a standard nuclear power plant. Okay, control rods, cadmium or boron absorb excess neutrons. What do you think? Yes, this is what control rods do. Then a moderator acts as a neutron multiplier to rapidly. No, what it does? Moderator slows down the neutrons so that the reaction is more proper. Then the concrete containment structure is built to prevent the escape of it. Yes, this is correct. So answer becomes what? Second is incorrect. Answer is 1 and 3. That is C. Then next is ITER. ITER, experimental nuclear fission. Experimental nuclear fusion reactor. Okay, currently constructed in France. Then India is a full participating member in ITER. So answer becomes 2 only. Then this is uranium 235, the only naturally occurring fissile isotope. Yes. Plutonium synthetic fissile material. Yes. Then zirconium used as primary radioactive. Zirconium is what? Zirconium is a metal with a very high melting point. Very high melting point. This is a metal. Where this was used? Zirconium. Where it was being used? To contain the fuel rods. Fuel rods, uranium, are contained within zirconium. Remember that. So this is not radioactive at all. So answer is 1 and 2. 2 pairs are correct. Answer is B. Then next. Solar energy technology. PV cells convert sunlight directly into electricity. Yes. Concentrated solar power systems use mirror to focus sunlight. Okay. This is also correct. Solar cells strictly require direct and cloudless sunlight to generate any electrical power. This is false. Correct. Because even if there is scattered sunlight, if the sunlight is reaching, some amount of electricity may be produced. Of course, less in quantity. So all three of them are correct. Answer becomes 1. 1 and 2 are correct. Sorry, third is incorrect. Answer becomes A, 1 and 2. Then run of the river hydroelectric projects do not require the construction of massive store. Yes. Then by the name only you can understand this is run of the river hydroelectric. That is, river is flowing. Now, of course, not the rivers in South India, but rivers in the northern part of India are anyway very rapid. Okay, so you can just put a turbine right there. Why you have to construct dam in central and South India? Because you want to have that much energy from it. So that is why, because the rivers don't have that much flow, you take them up, then you drop it. So all that thing goes on in dams. Then, so their run of the river will also work. Run of the river projects have zero negative environment impact on local aquatic life and fish migration. Zero is an extreme word. If you are putting turbines, of course it will change the flow, correct? If the flow is altered, then some effect on the aquatic life of the people around will be there. Of course, much less than the dams, but 0 is extreme. So this is wrong. So answer becomes C, that is 1 is correct but 2 is incorrect. Then next is renewable energy technologies. This is OTEC, utilizes the temperature difference between warm surface water. Correct. Then tidal power harnesses the kinetic energy of ocean surface waves. Harnesses the kinetic energy of ocean surface waves generated by global winds. What is this? This is wave energy. Tidal energy will have tides, na? This is talking about global winds. Where do global winds flow? They are surface winds. Correct. So this is wave energy. This is wrong. This is correct. Then next is what? Hydrogen fuel cells combine hydrogen and oxygen to produce electricity with water. Yeah, this is correct. So only 2 pairs. B becomes the answer. Then geothermal energy can only be harnessed in regions located exactly on the active tectonic plate boundaries. No. Only is wrong. Otherwise, in active tectonic areas only are the regions where they are produced in much better quantity. Okay, but only is an extreme statement. Wrong. Then the combustion of biomass for energy does not release any. Almost all gases are released here. Okay, so answer becomes neither. Then next, offshore wind farms generally experience higher and more consistent and wind speeds than offshore farms. Correct? Why? Because you don't have any obstruction. You can also you have what you learned there, surface winds. Sorry, what you have is those surface winds you have ना that no क्या बोलते उसको geography में होता है ना, just above the ocean winds are flowing. So just above the ocean, no, it's a opposite relation. Yeah. So basically there is no obstruction and there is constant wind flow that is there, because of which offshore wind farms generally experience higher and more consistent wind speed. Then horizontal axis wind turbines are the most common type deployed in modern utility scale wind farms. Axis क्या होता है? Okay. This is the old one. Okay, that you are used to seeing. For example, sometimes they put a hen over it. Okay, then it is rotating like this. Now, where is the axis? This is the axis for this one. This axis is vertical. Now, this is a modern wind farm. Where is the axis? Axis is like this. It goes like this. Where is the axis? Axis is perpendicular ना, ये axis होता है ना, हाँ? Okay, so this is a horizontal axis. Around this I am rotating this. The wind is rotating this. So yes, the modern ones are actually horizontal. Then the power output of a wind turbine increases cubically with increase in wind speed. This you may not know. This is also correct. Then wind turbines are physically capable of extracting 100% of, no, hardly 50-60% is the most. So how many of them are correct? Only 3. Okay, this changes cubically. You need not know the entire thing how it works. So basically this is mass per unit time and all that. Okay, so you have the energy from kinetic energy, but also you have mass that is coming per unit. So that's why you get this. Then next, quantum dots are nanoscale semiconductor particles that emit light of space. Yes. Then carbon nanotubes exhibit higher electrical. Yes. Silver nanoparticles due to antimicrobial. All 3 of them are correct. Answer is C, all 3. Then gold nanoparticles are increasingly targeted cancer therapy. Yes. Gold nanoparticles engineered to accumulate specifically in tumor cells and release drugs locally. This is targeted drug delivery. We have read this, correct? Gold nanoparticles do this very well. They will go and attach to that particular cancer cell and then they will release the drugs. So both of them are correct. Explanation, okay. Increasingly utilized in target, yeah, okay. So this is also the correct explanation. Answer becomes A. Then nanosensors for monitoring soil moisture and nutrient levels. Acha, agriculture sector. Okay, nanosensors, yes. Nano encapsulation, correct, for of fertilizer for controlled release, yes. Genetic modification of crops using carbon nanotubes as molecular carriers, yes. So this is actually experimental right now. Okay, not a widespread use technology, but yes, this is also possible. Answer is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, then next, consider the following statements regarding graphene. 3-dimensional, wrong. This is a 2-dimensional. It is almost entirely transparent and highly flexible. Yes. So second is correct. First is incorrect. Answer becomes B. 2 only. Okay. Titanium oxide nanoparticles used in sunscreen. Correct. Zinc oxide nanoparticles, anti-reflective coatings on solar panels. What do you think? You know, ZNO and TiO2 are used in sunscreens. They work in both the mechanisms. That is, they absorb some of the sunlight and then they, other thing is, scatter some of the sunlight or reflect some of the sunlight. Now, together they are called blocking sunlight. For a human, it is blocking, either it is absorbing it, not in the ideal form, not in the form that can harm you. So this just breaks down, simple form it gets to your skin, does not matter, or it just scatters it away. That also does not matter. So this is how it works. Now you know this about, so titanium oxide, this is fine. Zinc oxide nanoparticles, if you talk about them, then it also does absorption. So anti-reflective coatings on solar panels, yes. This is also one of the use cases of it. Okay. Then graphene oxide, water desalination membranes. What do you think? Yes, it is actually possible because it has a that web-like structure where you can do desalination. Okay. Then how many of them are correctly matched? All 3. Then okay, SMR. This is 300 megawatts per unit. Fine. Then SMRs are custom built entirely at the actual plant site to entirely at the plant site बना देंगे. Who will make? Huh? Soldiers will make. General will say that soldiers take out the uranium. Huh? Can this work? Of course, this is done by scientists. Everything is just, this is a modular kind of reactor. So basically, you're getting different modules at the battlefield or whatever site you are taking it, you will just assemble it. Of course, you won't be making it. If it was so easy to just bas taza uranium laya and then you can make nuclear energy, then everybody would have made it. Correct? So this custom built entirely at the actual plant site. This is wrong. First is correct. Then SMR design types. Okay. Pressurized water SMR. This is light water, correct? Pressurized heavy water reactor. This is pressurized water SMR, not heavy water. So this is light water only. Okay. If it was pressurized heavy water SMR, then it would have been D2O. So first is correct. Then high temperature gas cooled SMR. What do you think? Actually, this is also correct. Now here what happens? So helium is used as a coolant here. Coolant is anything that can absorb some of the energy, and here the moderator is some other thing. Usually the moderator is graphite. This is another kind of plants, another kind of nuclear SMRs that we have seen. Okay, next is fast neutron SMR. This is fast neutron. Okay, so liquid metal like sodium or lead. This is correct. That is why it is fast. Why? Because sodium is only a coolant, not a moderator. Okay, so this is correct. That is correct. That was also correct. Answer becomes all three are correct. Then they require, what is this? This is about SMRs. They require a significantly smaller geographical footprint. Yes, they can be easily integrated into small localized power grids. Okay, they strictly require highly enriched weapon grade. No, just the normal uranium that you usually have in your power plants, same is required. Okay, so these two are correct. Third one is wrong. It becomes only 2. Then operational capabilities of SMR can be effectively coupled with intermittent renewable energy sources to provide stable baseload power supply. What do you think? This is correct. As we talked about that with renewable energy, the major issue is of intermittency. Correct. Now intermittency means what? That it is not available throughout the day. Now SMRs can help here because nuclear energy can be generated throughout the day. Now anything that can provide you definite power, that is, it is not dependent on any external criteria, is known as base load power supply. For example, right now for most of India, base load power supply is thermal power plants, because you can just put in more coal. The only issue that may be there will be of running out of coal. So that you can already see that the entire structure is filled with coal. So of course you can generate energy all the time. This is called base load power. Then the thermal heat generated. So basically what Indian government and governments around the world are planning, that we need to focus more and more in renewable energy, but we will also need some stable base load power. So for that we should shift to nuclear energy. Okay, this combination can replace thermal, crude oil and all this. Just renewable energy cannot. Then the thermal heat generated by SMRs can be utilized for industrial applications like seawater desalination. Correct. Ultimately, this is just energy, can be used in many different ways. Floating nuclear power plants utilize SMR technology to generate electricity offshore. Yes. इसमें डिनाई करने का क्या है? How would you know? Floating nuclear power plants, या float कर रहा होगा. SMR है, small modular reactor है, it will generate electricity offshore. अब लेके चले गए तो कर देगा कुछ. हाँ? Actually, this has been made. This was in news. That's why I think they have put 3-4 questions on SMR only. Okay. Anyway, so answer is 1, 2, and 3. Then, yeah, which of the following countries launched the world's first operational purpose-built floating nuclear power plant? Named Akademik Lomonosov. Okay, who would be making this? By the name only, you can understand this is Russia. Then, okay, all others have also tried and they are ready with their prototypes and all, but they have not deployed it yet. Okay, then this is PM Surya Ghar Muft, provides up to 300 units of free electricity per month. Yes. Then India is currently the largest producer of solar energy in the world. No, I think we are 4th, 5th largest. 3rd. Okay, 3rd. Then the International Solar Alliance has its headquarters in India. गुड़गांव में, ठीक है? So this is correct. This is also correct. Answer becomes only 2. It is in Gurgaon, India. Then green hydrogen is produced through the electrolysis of water using renewable energy. Yes. The National Green Hydrogen Mission aims to develop production capacity of 5 MMT. Yes, this is the correct target. National Green Hydrogen Project aims to make 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen by 2030. This is the target. This is also correct. This is also correct. Then the only major product of burning pure green hydrogen is water. Yes. This was also a sentence used by UPSC. This is all three correct. Then Gujarat currently holds the highest installed wind power capacity in India. Yes, correct. I think a few years ago or some time ago they surpassed Tamil Nadu. Okay, so this is the highest. Then offshore wind turbines generally provide a more. We have seen this. Then India currently operates a massive 50 gigawatt offshore wind energy project. Huh? What do you think? See, you should be able to guess something also. 50 gigawatts. You understand what is 50 gigawatts? Huh? All these big thermal power plants and all this you see, that is just in megawatts. You have seen this. One SMR is 300 megawatts. Okay, what kind of energy is generated by all these solar plants and all this is hardly in megawatts. Sometimes in the, if you talk about the overall sector, then they talk about this many gigawatts. This is not the installed capacity with respect to even solar. Okay, functional ones are not there. India is talking about that 100 gigawatt is completed, but the install capacity is less. So 50 gigawatt का एक ही बना दिया, तो तुमको पता तो होता कहाँ बनाया है? Of course, this is wrong. 50 gigawatts. Okay. Similarly, I have seen they do it this in economy also. They give some random figures and people have no clue. 2 lakh crores. Okay. And then people are like, हाँ दे सकती है government. अरे कैसे दे सकती है? हाँ? You need to understand. Remember the basic figures. What kind of energy is being generated? What kind of budgets are allocated in India? Just basic understanding. Okay. So more consistent power. This and this is correct. Only 2 becomes the answer. B. Then energy storage, pump storage, hydropower. Yes, this is correct. Large hydropower projects above 25 megawatts are now recognized as renewable energy. Yes, this is post 2019. Then India has set a target to achieve 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel energy by 2030. This is also correct. All three of them are correct. Answer becomes all three. Then the Global Biofuels Alliance was launched by India on the sidelines of the G20 summit in New Delhi. Yes, this is correct. Then first generation biofuels are produced primarily from agricultural waste and non-food biomass. Yeah, first is by food crops. So this is wrong. This is second generation, what is written here, agriculture waste and non-food crops. This is wrong. Why? First generation was food crops. Second generation was non-food crops, agricultural waste and all that. Then India has advanced its target of 20% ethanol blending in petrol by the year 2025-26. This is correct. This is also correct. Answer becomes only 2. Then last 2. Which of the following isotopes is primarily bred from thorium-232? Easy. Uranium-233. Just 1 neutron is added. Then which of the following best describes the objectives of Reclaim framework recently launched by Ministry of Coal, Government of India? What do you think? So basically what is this? All those mines that have now been closed, that is not functional right now. Now those areas people are not living. It has a lot of other environmental issues. So what government is trying to do through this scheme is to make those regions accessible again. So they will try to relocate people, try to give them employment and all that. So answer becomes A, 7-step participatory model. Okay, so that's it. With this we are done with our discussion.